there. Now,
welcome to ringside, everybody. I'm Dan Deerdorf, along with my longtime boxing partner, Alex Wallow. And Alex, today, a couple of small guys, only 112 pounds. But you don't have to be a heavyweight to be good and exciting. And in Mark Johnson, we may have the best fighter, really, that nobody's really seen very much.
He is a very special fighter, Dan. He is also a realist. He knows that he'll never be able to command the kind of mega paydays, those 8-figure paydays that the bigger men get. But he wants something more than just a place on the best pound-for-pound list. Mark wants wider recognition for his remarkable talent, and he wants the better money that will bring. Not 8 figures necessarily, but he wants more money than he's been getting. And that means that Mark must defeat another boxing star. He says, to be the best, you've got to beat the best, and that cliche is absolutely true. Until then, Mark must stay busy, and today's fight is really just a stay busy fight. The opponent, Luis Rolon of Puerto Rico, a great amateur. He beat former flyweight champion Michael Carbajal to win the 1987 Pan Am Games gold medal. But after winning 12 straight fights as a pro, he lost 2 out of his next 4 and quit boxing for over 3 years. He does have a comeback win of 4 straight fights, but the opposition in those fights was light years away from the man he faces today, Dan. So a challenger fighting an uphill battle against huge odds against a champion very eager to showcase his tremendous ability.
All right, thank you, Alex. Let's go ahead and check the tail of the tape. We're going to see that Johnson is 5 years younger than Rolon. He's a couple inches shorter, but somehow he comes out of that still with a reach advantage. The IBF rules are the rules that are in effect for today. As usual, the 10-point must system. The standing 8 and the 3 knockdown rule are not in effect. Fighter can only be can't be saved by the bell in any round, and only the referee can stop the fight. And working today's fight, New Yorker Wayne Kelly. So we are set to go here in the Oneida Indian Nation here in central New York, just outside Syracuse. And Mark Johnson, wearing the camouflage shorts on the left of your screen, gets set to make his 6th defense of the title against Luis Rolon.
You see, obviously, that good right hand by Rolon. Johnson facing the camera, the southpaw, tremendous hand speed, perhaps the fastest hands in boxing today. Luis Rolon on the left. You see, Dan, low blow, caution by referee Kelly. The thing that worries me about the fight, in terms of if you want to have a competitive fight, because that's the essence of this sport, is that Luis Rolon on the right, look, and there's no other way to say it, Dan, he just looked scared to death yesterday when we interviewed him at the weigh-in. He's somebody who obviously had a loss of confidence when he stayed out of boxing for over 3 years before making the comeback. Body punch there by Mark Johnson, a little bit low or borderline.
Well, Alex, you're talking about a guy that really has only fought 5 times in the last 6 years.
Yeah, he's got the record 18-2 of a young kid, but he's 31 years old.
He expects to be pressured just like that by Mark Johnson and said, I'm going to counterpunch, and hopefully, because Johnson's a southpaw, I'll be moving to my left, and the straight right hand would be my best weapon.
Yeah, as you just saw him moving to his right, he continues to move to his right. Exactly what he told us he wouldn't do. Good body work again by Johnson. Mark Johnson, just a complete fighter, Dan. If he just boxed, he could box his way, I think, to beating everybody he has to beat. But he also can stand toe-to-toe with you and unload with power. And that's with the best of them. I mean, the best people at 112 pounds. He's fought a very tough group of opponents.
Johnson's jab with the right hand is a good stiff jab. It's not a feeling-out jab. But then he doubles up with that right hand. He'll go to the ribs and then come back to the head with it. He's very, very talented with his right hand, and he has power. As we mentioned, 25 of his wins are knockouts, and he has 14 knockouts in his last 16 fights. He says, as I get older, and at 26, he's just really becoming a mature man. He's getting stronger and stronger, and his record reflects that. A good left hand to the body by Johnson.
One thing he has on his record, Dan, that very few people can claim is he won the title, the World Championship, for the first time in 1996 with a one-punch first-round knockout. Something rare.
Good right hand.
And that's not even really his best hand. His power really is in that left hand, Dan.
Coming to the end of round number 1, a very solid start for Mark Johnson, the champion. Here we go in round number 2. On the right of your screen in the camouflage, champion Mark Johnson. And Alex, and when we look at Johnson's resume, another thing that jumps out at you is he is the first African-American ever to hold a world flyweight title. A division long dominated by Orientals and Hispanics, and Mark Johnson very proud of the fact that he's the first African-American to hold a share of that title.
It really is hard to believe that that's true, Dan, but it is. 112 pounds is a very difficult weight to make.
Yeah,
Mark
stopped
Johnson,
making it in about the 6th grade.
You actually tripled it at one point in your football career.
Embarrassed to say, I think you're right, I did.
Good right hand by Johnson. Rolon should not just stand on the ropes. I mean, that's just asking to be taken out.
Well, his punching over the top, and again, Mark Johnson, very professional. Well, another digging right hand to the body, and that right hand connected to the jaw.
There, he saw Rolon do something he should have done a long time ago. He showed the first evidence of understanding what he should do in here by just moving away and not just standing there taking punishment like he is right now. Another low blow by Rolon.
Another warning from Wayne Kelly, and that one decidedly low.
Wayne Kelly knows something about low blows. He was the one who disqualified Andrew Galata in the first fight with Riddick Bowe, and Galata was snatched defeat from the jaws of victory with just an inexplicable performance.
Talk about been there, done that. Wayne Kelly has seen it.
Dan, both these men weighed 112 pounds when they weighed in. We re-weighed them about a half an hour ago, and they both weighed 119 pounds. That is...
Again, just illustrates your point of how difficult it is to make 112.
Yeah, they're so dried out. I mean, obviously, that's almost all water weight they lost and then put back on, replenishing himself with liquids.
Mark Johnson coached. His manager is his father, Ham Johnson, there in the lower right-hand portion of your screen, a longtime trainer of amateur fighters, and finally has a world champion in his son.
Ham Johnson is an amazing character. When he was in the amateurs, he was one of the most vocal coaches in a sport where you're not supposed to coach from the corner. Ham Johnson probably got thrown out of more corners than all the rest of the world could put together. He makes Lou Duva look like a shrinking violet.
And Alex, over the years, we've talked about how difficult it is to make a father-son team work in boxing, yet the Johnsons do it.
Yeah, and we talked to him about it. I mean, Mark is very frank. He says we argue, we disagree a lot, but we respect each other, and that's why it works. All Mark Johnson.
This is the end of the second round. Round here, this championship of Mark Johnson's is scheduled for 12. The Pep Boys Professional Boxing Series here on ABC Sports. Dan Deerdorf, Alex Wallow with you ringside here at the Turning Stone Casino on the Oneida Indian Nation in beautiful central New York on an absolutely spectacular sunny afternoon.
Well, there was Rolon showing some defensive ability, getting underneath a sweeping right hook by Mark Johnson, then getting down and making him miss a couple of times more. But meanwhile, Rolon can make Johnson miss, but he's got to figure a way to land. There he landed a right hand to the head.
And that is a heavy, there is a heavy right hand by Mark Johnson. And you can tell Rolon is a little bit stunned.
And the body shots are setting everything up to the head, Dan. Tremendous right hooks to the body.
And instead of moving off the ropes, Luis Rolon is staying on the ropes. And again, that digging right hand. And right now, it's a little bit of target practice by Mark Johnson.
Rolon is showing courage.
He should show movement.
But it's just going to get him a terrible beating here if he doesn't get something in his legs. And maybe those body shots are taking...
another low blow by Rolon. And that appeared to be the last warning by Wayne Kelly, the referee. Again, the digging right hand to the body by Mark Johnson. And that was a pretty good straight right hand by Rolon.
That was a good right hand. Mark, I don't think it was enough to get Mark's respect. As you can see him come in, just totally undeterred.
Oh, what a huge uppercut. And right now, Rolon is in trouble. He backs out of there.
And again, Mark thinking all knockout here, trying to be impressive and getting hit with punches that he should not be hit with.
Well, Rolon right now, to this point, Alex, has shown a chin because he has taken some heavy shots, and he lands another right hand. Rolon coming back and landing a good shot of his own.
And this is just simply a case of Mark Johnson kind of fighting down to his opposition, not showing what a great total fighter he is, because he's so intent on getting this guy out of here to impress the national television audience. Here, the fans up from Washington, D.C. chanting, "Too sharp."
Well, right now, Mark Johnson landing all sorts of great shots on Rolon. Landed an uppercut that 45 seconds ago I thought buckled the knees of Luis Rolon, but still, this has been some recovery on his part.
A very gutsy performance by Rolon.
But he can't keep taking big shots like this, Alex. Ten seconds left here in the third round.
And it is a tribute to condition with Rolon. He must be in tremendous condition to take this kind of punishment.
This is the end of the third.
Before I quit.
Here we go for the start of the fourth round. Between rounds, Ham Johnson telling his son Mark that you're fighting a little too straight up. I know he's not moving a lot, but you've got to get down and deliver with power. Luis Rolon on the left of your screen took a lot of big shots there in the third round. But he is game.
He is game. You see him, Dan, he weighed in, he weighed in at 112. He had to make 112 yesterday around in the early evening. He is 5'5 and a half, and even though he's gotten up to 119, the difficulty of getting down to 112 was another reason I thought this would not be a competitive fight, and actually it's been better than I thought through the first three rounds.
Well, he's moving more here in the beginning of the fourth. We'll see if it lasts for the entire round, but at least for the first minute of the fourth round, there's been a little more movement out of the Puerto Rican.
That time Mark Johnson is being a little bit more careful. The pace is careful here. I said the pace, you see Mark there trying to find a rhythm. If you see a fighter walk away and shake his arms, that means he just can't find a rhythm. There, the feet got tangled, and he's trying very hard to just put some punches together. He knew he was going to have to go after his man. There, the right hand by Rolon, the right hand lead got home, scored points, tried it again and missed, tried it again and scored.
Another one.
As you look at Rolon, you see that jab. It is just a measuring jab. It has no snap on it whatsoever, and it is not a smart punch to try. You always tell a guy, you know, trying to set some things up with the jab. If you're going to jab like Luis Rolon's, I would tell him to tape it to his chin, because it does no good, and it just leaves openings for Mark Johnson.
Nothing measuring about Mark Johnson's jab, though, Alex.
No.
It is a crisp, snapping jab that he follows with combinations. He is a skilled fighter who appears to be the entire package. A boxer, a puncher, a good defensive fighter. Although I'm not sure he really feels a necessity to go into a defensive mode in this fight.
We talked to Mark about how hard it would be to try to get his focus for this fight, being against a fighter he figures to totally outclass, and he said, well, it was really hard in the beginning of training. I just had no focus. I was taking it easy in training too much. I was getting hit by sparring partners who never hit me. I said, are my sparring partners getting better? And I realized about 3 weeks before the end of training, it wasn't them. There, I got hit by another right hand. It wasn't them getting better. It was me worse. And I got my focus back, and I have it for this fight. It does not look to me, Dan, that this is the complete package that we expected to see.
A pretty good recovery, though, by Rolon here in the fourth. Referee Wayne Kelly tells the fighters to get started here at the beginning of the round number 5. And that was a pretty solid fourth round for Luis Rolon, who appeared to be on the ropes figuratively and literally at the end of the third.
He took some vicious body shots in that fight, and then shots to the head off of them. But I thought the body shots, the ability to take those, nobody likes to get hit in the body, but the ability to take those punches that he showed there showed guts.
I think what got him going, Alex, was he showed some movement at the start of the fourth round. He was less of a stationary target, and Now he's kind of standing still a little bit again.
Well, watch his left elbow, Dan. It's interesting to see what he's done, what the body punches have done to change his style. There, Mark tried to get around the elbow and sort of hit him on the side.
But you're right, he's keeping it up against the ribs.
He definitely is tucking that elbow in to try to protect, so Mark has to find something else to get his hands down.
Does an uppercut work if you're in that mode?
Well, yeah, it can. I think I might feint to the head to try to get him up and then dig instead of just going in direct. He's going to take a point away now.
Yes, I think there goes the 1-point deduction. Referee Wayne Kelly has been pretty good about giving Rolon warnings and finally ran out of those.
Mark not as accurate. There he tried to right to the body again. Not as accurate as we were expecting. Missing more punches than we would expect against an opponent who is not a defensive genius.
He landed one good right hand there. Not much coming back from Luis Rolon.
No, Luis has been in the survival mode in this round. I mean, there were rounds when he did try right hands, and landed a number of them. But he is definitely now trying to just cover and not give any kind of punching room to Mark Johnson.
Well, you hear Mark Johnson's punches. I can only imagine how they feel, but they sound different. They land with a decided thud. And again, that right hand digging in. Right now, Luis Rolon offering absolutely nothing in return.
Oh!
As soon as I say that, he lands a right hand.
We couldn't see Mark get his back to us, but he...
First punch of Rolon landed all round.
Figuratively speaking, Mark didn't blink. He just kept coming.
Another decent right hand by Rolon. Not enough, though. I'm sure round 5 belongs to the champion.
Helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Mark Johnson, whose nickname is Too Sharp. He's sharp enough in this defense of his title, his 6th defense of the IBF Flyweight title.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's not as sharp as he'd like to be, though, Dan. I mean, he's won every round. He has won 10-8 round because of the point deduction last round. He may have a 2-point round in the round that he hurt Rolon so badly.
Well, he just is landing right hand after right hand to the head of Rolon, who's got no movement at all going for him here at the start of the 6th round.
And the referee's going to look very close and stop this if Rolon doesn't let something come back or move.
He just, it almost begrudgingly moved himself off the ropes. And that jab of Rolon is doing nothing to keep Johnson off of him.
But you see him fighting back here again.
There goes another deduction. Another 1-point deduction for low blows against the Puerto Rican.
And you see the look on Luis Rolon's face. I mean, you know, don't I have enough problems here? Give me a break.
He may get a break, and it might be in the rib department from that digging right hand of Mark Johnson.
By the way, Luis is not, in my opinion, doing this to try to get disqualified.
Oh, no.
I really believe he's trying to win.
We'd like to alert our ABC stations that after this round, we'll be giving you a station break.
I mean, I should say in this round, he's fighting more with throwing more punches than he had in the previous round when we said he was in the survival mode.
I'm back to agreeing with you, Alex, the point you made about Rolon's conditioning. To take this many big shots and still be functioning, although his range of function is diminishing here as we move on.
He's blocking some of those. Not all those punches are landing. That right hand did. That left uppercut did. Rolon has to let something come back, or Wayne Kelly's going to stop this.
He's got to defend himself. He's almost sitting on the rope. He really is. He's of a height that he's almost supporting himself, sitting on the one rung of the ropes.
There, the jab actually knocked Mark Johnson's attack off balance as he tried to come in.
Well, the movement that Rolon used in the 4th round to his benefit is gone.
One interesting thing, Dan, is that when Mark Johnson is just toying with the opponent, he'll switch to right-handed, he'll showboat more. He has not switched to right-handed at all here. He is still trying to get down to business. He's showboating a little bit with his right hand to his side, but he wants to get this guy out of there.
We'll return with more ABC Sports coverage of the Pep Boys Professional Boxing after this word from our ABC stations. This is the end of the 6th round. Let's get the 7th round started here in New York. The Turning Stone Casino. We're here to watch the guy on the left of your screen, Mark Johnson, defend his IBF Flyweight title. This is the 6th defense of that title, and through 6 rounds, Alex, he's got a comfortable margin of a lead over Luis Rolon of Puerto Rico in the green trunks.
Again, Johnson got caught with kind of a silly roundhouse right. He said before he looked at tapes of Rolon and knew he had a sneaky right. These are not sneaky rights. They're really telegraphed, and Mark should not get hit by them. And when he steps up in competition and he gets hit by a guy with real power, if he does, that'll be a damaging blow. I think Luis Rolon, in making this weight, lost some power. I mean, I just think he had to come in a little bit dead at this weight.
Alex, let's talk about Mark Johnson stepping up in weight or stepping up in class. Either one. Who's going to want to fight Mark Johnson?
Well, whoever can make a lot of money. Then a right hand there. Mark is. This has been a soft round for Mark. And Luis, I think, senses a little bit, and he's actually coming forward, and has got Mark backing up a little bit here. I think the fight I'd like to see, Dan, would be Johnny Tapia, the IBF junior bantamweight champion, 42-0, unbeaten. I think he, again the right hand.
That was a good right hand. Do you think Tapia would ever fight Mark Johnson?
If he gets paid, I think he would.
It'd take a lot of money.
I don't think Johnny's afraid of too many people.
No, we've done John a number of times over the years. No, not with that personality he is.
Not a dominant round for Mark Johnson. He's winning it, but he has not dictated this round as much as he had the first half of the fight. There you see him. He's zipping some jabs out, but they're not doing anything, not landing.
There is former heavyweight champion of the world. That's Ken Norton. Had a chance to visit with Ken last night. He's here in attendance. Of course, the father of Ken Norton Jr., the great linebacker in the National Football League, and one of boxing's really good guys. This is the 7th round. And you called it a soft round for Mark Johnson. I think that's right on.
Kenny Norton's an interesting story, Dan. He beat Ali the first time, probably lost the second one just on the final round, and got robbed in the 3rd one in Yankee Stadium. So if Muhammad Ali was the greatest, a lot of people think that Kenny Norton beat him 2 out of 3 times, which is interesting.
Luis Rolon is still here. And this is the end of the 7th. The 8th round of this IBF Flyweight Championship.
I tried to make the 7th even, Dan, but I couldn't do it.
Luis Rolon on the left of your screen in the green trunks, the camouflage on the right being worn by the champion Mark Johnson from Washington, D.C. Owns a barbershop back in D.C. An interesting character. He's been the IBF Flyweight champion for a little over 2 years. Won it back in May of '96.
One thing to watch here, Dan, as we move into the later rounds, is that Mark Johnson only has 3 KOs past the 7th round. 25 KOs, but only 3 passes. There was a good right hand. Did not seem to hurt Rolon.
It didn't. It didn't seem to have any effect at all.
That left uppercut seemed to do a little bit more damage. So it'd be interesting to see if he can pull himself together against a very determined, if badly overmatched opponent. If he can pull himself together to find a way to get this guy out of here.
Good stiff pair of jabs from Johnson. Got to go back and call those left-hand leads. Johnson's a southpaw, of course. His jabs with the right. Again, look at this guy's got it all. Quickness.
One interesting bit of byplay, Dan. As you can see here, if you look closely, you see the protector of Mark Johnson being as high as it is outside of his trunks, and you see the trunks of Luis Rolon on the left being below his navel. Now, the point of low blows is supposed to be the navel, and the Rolon corner has been protesting that Johnson's protector is too high. They want to move it down. They're right, but they should move their own guys up. He wouldn't be getting hurt by those body shots as much.
I'd move them up to my armpits.
Right.
The way his ribs have been getting pounded by Johnson.
My favorite body punch story was Mickey Duff, who had a fighter fighting Matthew Franklin. And there you see Pernell Whitaker showboating. Not unusual since Ham Johnson, his father, coached Pernell as an amateur. Good right hand there by Rolon.
That was.
But I was saying about Mickey Duff, the British manager. I once said, why didn't you protest when your fighter was getting hit low so often? He said, well, at least he's got some protection there. I was afraid the guy would raise his punches and really hurt him.
There's Mark Johnson now really taunting Luis Rolon.
But this is not really going to get the desired effect, I don't think, Dan. This is Pernell Whitaker imitation. Nobody ever liked it from Pernell, and they're not going to like it from Mark Johnson. You got an outclassed opponent. Go out and be efficient and do your job.
This is the end of the 8th round.
My dentist told me about this new...
One of Mark Johnson's handlers said to him during that break between rounds 8 and 9, we're on TV, Mark, let's go to the playground. So I'm not sure we're going to see an end to the pseudo showboating by Mark Johnson, the champion.
Yeah, you know, I tried to make this point before, but this is
no,
something...
we haven't seen the end of it, as he does the bolo punch.
Yeah, I mean, if you do that against Roberto Duran, and you break Roberto Duran's spirit into a no-mas victory, then you've done something. He should be more respectful of what Luis Rolon has done here. Luis Rolon came in here. He doesn't belong in the same ring with Mark Johnson, and he stood up to him, and he's fought a professional fight. And Mark Johnson is only demeaning himself by this kind of behavior. And while we're giving you obscure statistics, you should know as we enter what could be the last third of the fight that Mark Johnson has never knocked anyone out. That's not right, actually. He did knock out one opponent past the 9th round. He had a 12th round TKO in one fight. Hard to tell, Dan, whether this comes from frustration at not being able to get him out of here, that he's a little bit tired, that he didn't expect this tough of an opponent. And you hear the crowd's reaction, and I think if I didn't have a headset on and trying to be a dispassionate observer, I might be joining them.
Well, you know, Alex, you made the point earlier in the fight several times that Mark Johnson tried to gather himself. He looked frustrated. He didn't seem to be able to find any type of a rhythm against Rolon, although I thought in the first 3 rounds he was just completely dominating.
But
maybe there is some frustration involved here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Luis, aside from those right hands, I mean, Luis is, and the times that he's just covered and tried to survive, which, to be fair to Luis, he hasn't done that for the whole fight. There have been times when he left punching openings. The fact is, Mark is in with an opponent he is way better than, and he just has not gotten the job done. I mean, gotten the job done, and he appears to be on his way to a one-sided shutout victory, and that's the name of the game. But it's just interesting that he has not been able to do a better job against a guy who probably doesn't deserve, on the basis of his record, even to be rated number 10.
But yet it's
made him miss 3 jabs there.
An admirable performance by Rolon. He's tried. The guy came and gave an effort, which is more than we've seen from a lot of opponents over the years.
Yeah, I mean, he proved himself to give a professional effort here. This is what he has to give. He doesn't have the talent. He gave everything he has. Mark has not done that.
I'm not sure what Mark has done this round. The end of 9. Welcome back to the Pep Boys Professional Boxing Special here on ABC Sports. Luis Rolon of Puerto Rico on the left of your screen is challenging the champion Mark Johnson, who kind of cruised his way through the 8th and the 9th rounds.
Let's just count up the punches that Mark is able to land here. He's just missed 2 punches already this round. Short with a jab, kind of a measuring kind of jab, see if anything happened. In a defensive posture, looking to shoot the left, moves away. Body shot, landed, left was blocked. Short with a jab, shakes his hands out again.
I think the point you're trying to make is he hasn't done much.
Not doing a lot of effective punching. And this is a guy who has a reputation not just for being fast, and he has not looked as fast in this fight as we're used to seeing, but he has a reputation for tremendous accuracy. And he has not been accurate. And this is not, as we said, a defensive specialist in there. He's not a face fighter, but he's not a guy who is that tough to hit, as Mark proved in the early rounds. Once again, very few effective punches from Mark Johnson.
A reminder that this coming Saturday, live at 1 o'clock Eastern time on ABC Sports, it's the Brickyard 400. NASCAR takes a turn at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, and defending champion Ricky Rudd will all hit the track next Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern right here on ABC. Don't forget, followed by the Hall of Fame game at 7 o'clock Eastern. Football gets started next Saturday. Mark Johnson facing the screen now on the left, now with his back to you, has been feigning here in the 10th round, but I think Luis is too tired to take the feint. A lot of lefts to the body, some of them landing by Mark Johnson. Good right jab at the end of that flurry. Luis, feet way apart, wide apart. Some serious showboating and hot dogging taking place here by Mark Johnson, the champion.
I guess in a sport when Hector Camacho made a name for himself, and Jorge Paez, and a lot of people made names that were inflated just because of this nonsense, I guess you can see why people would do it, but I don't think of myself as a purist, but I find it offensive. Once again, it depends upon the opponent. If you do it against a great fighter, fine.
Sometimes, Alex, this is the worst that the attention of a network television camera can bring out in someone. You wonder if this bout wasn't televised to a national audience, if Mark Johnson wouldn't be more down to business.
Big flurry at the end, very few punches landed. There you see Mark's face as he comes back into the right corner. Let's listen.
Get the W and let's go home.
Do what you want.
Do what you do. Come on. Take a little deep breath.
That's a house party.
That's what I'm saying. Come on.
We prepared for it. We prepared for it.
Come on. We ain't shaking. We need fun.
Do what you do best.
Do what you feel.
It's your party.
It's your party. Come on. One on one down, though. One on one down. Pick this guy apart. Pick this guy apart. Good. Come on, 2 up, 1 on 1 down.
We sure ran the party through.
We sure like to get this bum and take him on his back, but look like his head is too hard for us today. You got to take that body.
Just between out there. All right, Chad, don't worry about it.
Well, that is hardly the corner of a stressed out fighter.
Yeah,
Mark Johnson just runs out and loads up with a right hand, and he is coming after Luis Rolon.
He doubled with it, and both of them got home, and they did damage.
Well, they say you can't just turn the switch and do it when you want to. Mark Johnson appears to be doing just that right now. Let's see if he can finish it.
You heard his father say, looks like his head is too hard for us today. Just take his body. Mark went after the head and got it right at the start of the round. But Luis Rolon's head and his heart keep him on his feet. Right at the beginning of that exchange in between rounds, Dan, you heard, let's just get the W from Ham Johnson. Meaning, let's not take any chances. Let's just get a decision. Get the win and go home.
Well, you get the feeling from this crowd right here But what they'd really like to see is Mark Johnson walk into a punch and end up on his backside.
There are some people here who came in here wanting to root for Mark Johnson and have come out not being enthralled with this performance.
Well, you can't watch this guy and not like him, Alex. If you like boxing, you got to like Mark Johnson. He's a skilled, talented, tough, well-conditioned, hard-working fighter. But just because he weighs 112 pounds, he's not a household name.
And for you people who say, you know, 112-pounders, the flyweights, the little guys, they don't have enough power to get you out of there. This is a guy who has shown power. I mean, this isn't just a case of powder puff punches. This is a guy who can crack.
14 of his last 16 fights, Alex, have been knockouts.
And he learned how to crack fighting tough Mexicans. He was kind of raised on a steady diet of very tough fighters, primarily from Mexico, and he was fighting for the Forum in Inglewood, California, and he has not gotten those knockouts against bums. Oh, and there
was a good right hand by Rolon, and Mark Johnson kind of laughs it off.
Good hit again. Looked in his corner.
I'm not a big fan.
I am absolutely amazed that we are, it appears, going to go into the 12th round of this fight. Well, especially after the third round.
I wasn't sure we were going into the 4th round.
And Luis Rolon made an adjustment and didn't land another low blow that would get him disqualified so far. We're
going to stay between rounds here again, so we'll listen in. We'll head to the corner of Mark Johnson as he gets a taste of booing from the audience here, and he walks away from his corner. He doesn't even want to go over and sit down. I think the boos have frustrated him a little.
Come on, sit down. Take a breather. Take a breather. Take a breather. Take a breather. Take a good one. Come on, baby. Don't worry about that. We got one more to go. We done won the fight.
Okay. Let's take a look at the opening of the previous round. A huge right hand to Rolon. And he winds up, that one he didn't really get the hand down, the fist on it the right way. The first one, he cracked knuckles and really did
another look at it here, Alex.
Let's take another angle on it.
Just couldn't finish it.
That was the second one. He
threw own credit.
There aren't too many fighters. I mean, to talk about how special Mark Johnson is, there aren't too many fighters who can throw a 5-punch combination of right uppercuts. And Mark Johnson will not be able to do that against a fighter of higher quality.
Well, your guess is as good as mine as to what we'll see here in the 12th round. Certainly on the scorecards, this fight belongs to Mark Johnson. Not sure if Luis Rolon will even lay claim to a single round by any of the scoring judges.
You see there, Mark short with 2 jabs. I mean, out of range again there with a jab, missing 2 more punches. It's just not the fight that we told the people at home that they were going to see. And you would have to think that that is just a function. I mean, we know this kid's a great fighter. I mean, he's proven it. He's done it in fight after fight. And he's got a 33-fight winning streak, and it's not against bums, as we said.
No, and
it has to be that he just did not take this opponent seriously and did not prepare himself properly and did not come in focused. There, you hold your right hand like that.
Alex, if that's the case, then network exposure isn't what it used to be.
I'm not going to talk about that. There he switches to right-handed.
Luis Rolon
takes a jab right in the button.
But he has this guy could have mailed it in, gotten whacked out of there in about the 6th round, and nobody would have thought any the worse of Luis Rolon from Puerto Rico, and he has hung in there, and he's on the verge of seeing the entire 12 rounds against the defending champion.
You know something, Dan? We will probably never see Luis Rolon again. I mean, he will probably go off and fight sort of a journeyman's kind of existence, because he's just not a world-class fighter,
right.
A guy who should be contending for a world title. But what I take away from this fight, I mean, for me, the story is that a kid comes in like this, trains the kid, 31 years old, a man comes in, gets himself in shape against a guy he's hopelessly outclassed with, and gives everything he's got. And the champion, the great fighter, the one blessed with all the ability, Mark Johnson, did not give a professional effort. He's going to win every round. He's going to win the fight, and he may go on in fights against better opponents to reestablish his greatness. But this fight did his reputation no good at all.
Well, the crowd voices its displeasure as the bell rings to end this fight. We will be back here for the decision in just a minute or so. Mark Johnson appears to have retained his IBF Flyweight title. We'll be right back.
Dr. Scholl's next stop, San Antonio Zoo.
I want to talk to you about pain. My knees ache.
Lower back. Did you know your pain can be caused by the way you walk?
The way I walk? Dynastep insert supports your foot so that it hits the ground.
Welcome back to ringside, everybody. It's time for the decision. Let's go up to ring announcer Patrick Walden.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Turning Stone Casino Resort, we go to the scorecards, and in this bout, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Don Ackerman scores the bout 119-107, as does Judge Nelson Vasquez. And Judge Edward Marchand scores the bout 120-106, all for the winner. And still the IBF Flyweight Champion of the World, Mark Too Sharp Johnson.
Well, Johnson moves to 35-1, and there's Alex Wallow. Alex?
I'm sorry, Mark, we don't have a lot of time. Let me tell you what I said, and you give me your reaction. I thought people did not see the real Mark Johnson here today. I thought you missed a lot of punches. He was not an opponent the likes of which you need to beat. It was not, when you say you got to be the best, you got to beat the best. This was not the best today, and you were not yourself. Was it a lack of focus, or do you just disagree with what I say?
Oh, well, I have to agree with you. But first of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the gift that I've done. I hit him with some great shots early. I kind of hurt my hands in the later rounds, but I wanted to give people a chance to see the two shot that can box, the two shot that can make guys miss. But the main thing, like I told you, I wanted to just get the W and go back and look forward to fighting. But the main thing I said, I wanted to be out the sport by 27, and that's next month. So I got major decisions to make. Well, I'm gonna keep the title or vacate it and just get out the sport.
Thank you. Congratulations on the win, Mark. Thank you. Back to Dan Dierdorf at ringside.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And for Alex Wallow, I'm Dan Dierdorf and our entire ABC crew here at Turning Stone. Right now, let's go back to our ABC Wide World of Sports studio in New York and Robin Roberts.